guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with the second half of my wrap-up. I know I recently just did the first half of my wrap-up, but that's because I was traveling, and so I really only had the last week and a half for my second half of the month wrap-up, so I've only read 6 books, but I read a total of 15 books, which is great considering I was gone for a week and a half, and then work was insane. So I have not had the best amount of time to read, but I did read 6 more books. No 5 stars, which is fine. I didn't love these, but I do have a couple 4 stars, so like there is that. At least we have some 4-star reads, but I have been in a weird reading mood where I have been really focusing on videos I want to do, and then I do have a lot of arcs I need to read soon. So this was basically like, okay, what do I have out on audio, and what am I reading for videos, and what do I have an arc of, basically. So that's what the rest of this reading is for the rest of my October wrap-up. I read 9 books for the first half, 6 books for the second half. So we will go ahead and get started. I will link down below my first half if you want to check that out. But the first book that I did read was for my Patreon. We do sometimes one-off, just buddy reads. So we decided to read Unwanted by Mia Sheridan. I love Mia Sheridan. I love romantic suspense. I have always loved romantic suspense. One of my favorite genres, so I love Mia Sheridan so much. And this one I've realized is very similar to her more suspensey over romance, and to the point where it's like, also, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's not similar to other authors who write romantic suspense where it's really like a romance with a subplot. This one is like, it is a suspense with a subplot of romance. The suspense is like a bigger, organized conspiracy kind of thing. Like, that's what's happening a lot. I'm thinking of, oh gosh, All the Little Raindrops, I think I recently read. This really reminded me of that. So this one, our heroine is a like nature guide, and there's 2 murders that happen that they think are connected, and they suspect the guy who lives alone in the woods. And I thought he was just like a recluse who was damaged, which I really love. He's actually like, he has not been in civilization since he was like 6. He has been raised on his own because he was like dropped in the woods, put through this like crazy experience, and then stumbled upon this cabin and was told there's a war going on and everyone's gonna try to kill you. And so he has not talked to other humans, other people, in a long time, and he literally has been raising himself. So it's kind of like a very, not like caveman-y, but like kind of in that aspect where it kind of reminds me of like Transcendence. That's not my favorite. So just going into this one, I realized some of the tropes weren't my favorite. So I tried to exclude that from my rating because like that's a personal opinion and not like a judgment of like the writing and the story itself. So overall, I did give this 4 stars. She ends up helping the police try to figure out who murdered these 2 people because she knows the wilderness area very well, and she and him kind of really bond because he went through a lot, and she lost her parents very young and went through the foster care system, so they kind of connect on that aspect. They fall in love, and she kind of like has to teach him things because he's, you know, he's never been intimate with anybody before, and he is still kind of understanding like relationships and emotions and stuff like that. Not like super primitive in that sense, because there was something that I actually found really cool with how he was able to experience human emotion, and I will say like the twists and turns at the end were awesome. Like, I really was shocked by some of the twists that were happening in here, and I did really enjoy the trajectory of the story. It was really good. There is an animal death in here that I knew was coming as soon as we saw someone from the past that was not in the present. I was like, something's happening to this animal, and it is tragic, so I hate reading that as well, so know that going into this one. But overall, 4 stars for a really solid romance and a really solid suspense plot. And I will say though, this is primarily suspense with not a small subplot, but less of a subplot of romance than the main plot, if that makes sense. So really good still. I'm intrigued by book 2, but again, I don't love the kind of more primitive hero plot line, so I don't know the premise of book 2. I'm gonna have to go look. But overall, everybody also on my Patreon pretty much enjoyed this as well, so it was a really fun chat. 4 stars. Then I read A Spell for Midwinter's Heart, and I was really excited about this because it was Christmas and magic. So she's a witch. I ended up giving this one 3 stars because this heroine drove me bananas. She would not think through literally anything. So she shows up into town having to help her family with the magic that is like failing in their town because it hasn't snowed yet, and they really rely on the snow to bring in tourists and like run their business. And she arrives, and she gets there the same time as like her arch nemesis from high school, and she does not use magic smartly. she is very rash in how she uses her magic. And so even when she was in high school, she was very annoyed with him. So she made a spell to make his hair gray, and then she got mad because he could pull it off, and he was just like, you know, early Silver Fox kind of thing. And when she casted that though, it goes back to her threefold, I think is what it said. So she literally has a head of white hair, and she has to dye her hair like every month now because of the spell she cast when she was in high school. And so she ends up like coming home, helping out with the magic, and falling in love with this guy. And we kind of slowly unravel things that happened in the past, and she uses literal dangerous forgetting spells on herself and other people. She's like, oh, I just like was really just stressed out and didn't want to think about it, so I just like did a spell to make myself forget. She was very annoying. So she was doing these such rash, she would not think them through. She was not responsible with her magic, and I was getting annoyed. So all of that was like the literal conflict of the plot. It's her not using her magic, and her grandmother, I think it was her grandmother, also did not use her magic well and got in trouble for it, and she knew that. And I was just like, let's just kind of stop and think through our actions for a second. And the fact that this spanned like years in her life, I was just very annoyed with. So I did not love that aspect of this plot. The romance was fine. It was just fine, because then I was also like halfway through and I was like, this story is okay. And then it got like more annoying due to her inability to like think correctly and smart about things. So I just went 3 stars. I really wanted to love it because it seemed like it had like everything I would love in a book, but I didn't. Then I read an e-arc of Almost Rotten by Abby Millsaps. I gave this one 4 stars. I really, really liked it, and maybe a little bit higher than a 4-star because it was just really messy and good. Like I didn't love it for the romance because like one of the characters does not make sense. So I don't know what I can talk about without spoiling the previous book, but one of the characters basically calls her his wife and continues to call her his wife, but they are legitimately not married. And I did not understand if he was like thinking like she was his wife. I couldn't tell. But she has a relationship with her professor and his best friend, so 2 older guys, and that started in book 1 and it continues in book 2. And then her brother's best friend, she's always had a special bond and connection with that they know is going to turn into something more, and he basically wants her for himself by the end of book 1. So book 2 is him kind of like blackmailing her into staying with him, very toxic and messy, and her trying to avoid her other 2 guys because she feels bad and is being blackmailed into staying with this guy, and then going back to those 2 guys, and then the end is very messy and you're just like, what's gonna happen next? And I feel like Abby Millsaps does that so well though, where like the end of her books, you're literally just like, what did I just read? And she's in like, where are we going next? I need the next book now. So like she leaves you on a really good cliffhanger. So this was book 2. I'm very excited for the cliffhanger of book 3. I'm assuming they're all gonna end up together, so it's gonna be the 4 of them. I don't know, like I honestly don't know at this point though. Like I don't know. I think that there's gonna be a lot of growth amongst all of the characters by the time we get to book 3, so I had a fun time. I gave it 4 stars. I liked it. It was very fast too. I can fly through her books. Then I read The Devil She Knows by Alexandra Bellafleur. I do have the paperback, but I already made my graphics for the video and I realized I did include the book cover. So I think I'm giving 3.5 stars. I don't remember if I want to do 3 or 3.5. So this one I was very excited for. It was going to be a demon romance, and the heroines meet and she's going to have to like make a deal with the devil. And my issue with this book is that the one heroine in the very beginning proposes to her influencer girlfriend, and her influencer girlfriend is basically like, this ring is embarrassing and you're not rich enough for my lifestyle. I would never marry you. And she's a chef, our main heroine. And so she's heartbroken, and she is like on the elevator on the way home, and this demon meets her and is like, I can give you 5, 6 wishes. And she does, and the other heroine basically uses her wishes to try to win her ex back. So we spend probably 70% of this book with the one heroine trying to win her ex back in like bizarre ways. So like it would be like, I wish to be everything she wanted. So then she gets like wakes up in this life that is like she is the perfect picture for her ex, and obviously that's like not realistic and something she doesn't love, and she's like, oh, this is what she's wanted from me all along, and like kind of tries to think of that. And then it's just like these different scenarios where she's trying to get her ex to want to marry her. And I'm like, this is not the romance. I was like, at one point I was like, is this a romance? Like, is she gonna be with the demon character? Like, I don't even know what's happening. I really liked the last 30% though. Like, I really liked her relationship with this demon character and them trying to figure out how to be together. Like, I really enjoyed that. But the 70% of her trying to win back her ex, I was like, why are we focusing so much on this ex? She's obviously a horrible person. She obviously is never gonna love her. And like, she did have to come to terms with that herself. And I know that was the journey she was supposed to go on, but like, I really wish this focused more on the romance of our main characters instead of the other character chasing after her ex for a majority of the book. So that's why it's a 3.5 star. I think I would land on 3.5 because I really did like the romance when we got it. Like, it was really good. But until then, I was just like, where are we going with this story? So 3.5 stars. My last two I'm actually not completely finished with yet, but I'm at like the very end of both of these and I will finish them tonight. So tonight is the 31st that I'm filming this. I will finish these books. So the first one is Steeped in Death by Gretchen Rue. This one is a cozy mystery and I am most likely giving this 4 stars. I think it is super fun. The heroine's grandmother dies and she takes over her tea shop and slowly realizes it's kind of magical, and she uses these like truth scones to try to get the truth out of people because a dead body was found in her tea shop. And she's like, is it the hot guy living in my grandma's apartment that I was best friends with as a kid? Is it the other people in town? Is it this crazy lady in town who keeps on wanting to buy my grandma's tea shop? So it's really fun watching her try to figure out who done it, and like amateur sleuth kind of thing. It's very cozy mystery and I don't know who's done it yet. I haven't gotten to that part, but I do find this very fun and I really like the magical aspect. I love the tea aspect. I love the small town aspect and like getting to know the characters and the little hint of romance. So far, 4 stars. I'm really enjoying this and I'm glad I picked it up. The last book I have to talk about, we are ending on a very sour note. I am still doing this darn vlog reading angsty books and not liking anything I'm reading, and I'm annoyed. So hopefully book 3, I haven't started it yet and I will not tell you what it is. You'll have to watch my vlog once I finish it. But I read The Unwanted Wife, one that showed up a lot in my quest of looking for the angstiest romance, and I am giving this book 2 stars. I have 20% left. And I do not like this book. It is just, so it's about this guy and this woman. They've been married for like a year and a half and he literally only has sex with her and then leaves and does not like her. And she doesn't understand because they got married and she thought he wanted to get married to her, and we jump in at this point of their marriage. He literally just wants a son and he's like, I'm not cuddling with you. You don't get to meet my friends. You don't know anything about me. You don't know anything about my family. We just are trying to procreate and that's it. And she doesn't understand. And so in the beginning of the book, she overhears a conversation with him and her father and realizes the truth about their marriage, about like what went into them getting married. That is the plot. Honestly, this woman does not take care of herself and it's third person and we get 0 showing of anything. Like, the hero does a complete 180 and is like, oh my gosh, no, like I actually do care about you. And I'm like, why? And all these reviews say there's groveling. There's 0 groveling at all. I do not buy that he loves her. I don't buy that she loves him. I am not shown anything. I am just told everything and do not believe a word these characters are saying. So I find this infuriating. I was like, I don't understand why he's all of a sudden super into her. Like, it doesn't make sense. I needed his point of view to even get an inkling into his mind, and he is not groveling at all. He's just like demanding her to do things. So I don't think this is angsty. I don't know. I don't know why this is so popular and I do not love it. I don't see it as a super angsty romance. I am not connected to either of these characters. I do not care about either one of them. The hero is not nice or redeemable or like at all appealing in any way, and the heroine just kind of gets walked all over. So she's like just like this little weakling that is just like kind of like finally standing up to her husband kind of. So I don't know. I'm not a fan. 2 stars. That's gonna be in a vlog too. So that is everything that I read in the second half of the month. Let me know what you've read this month and what your favorite book of the month was. I will say my favorite book of the month was Secret Haven by Catherine Cowles, which I read at the beginning of the month, and did share my top 5 reads of the month on Instagram if you want to check that out. And that is all I have. If you've made it this far, leave me a snowflake emoji, even though we're probably going to be getting into all of the winter Christmas emojis soon. Leave me a snowflake emoji for the Midwinter's heart book I read to let me know that you made it this far, and that is all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.